this is Robert Estrin at livingpianos.com with a really interesting question for you. What is an opus? You probably have heard this when you go to concerts. You might see, for example, a piano sonata number 7, opus 10, number 3 by Beethoven. You wonder, what the heck does that mean? I mean, you've got the number of the piece, the key of the piece. What does opus mean? Well, that's a great question. Opus numbers started way back in the time of Handel in the 1700s, and it's a way of organizing music so that you see the numbers, and generally speaking, lower opus numbers are earlier works that composers wrote, and higher opus numbers are later works. But it's not quite so simple, because obviously if you have sonatas numbered, that already tells you when they were written. So why do you need opus numbers? Well, a good example is, for example, Chopin wrote a whole book of mazurkas, a whole book of waltzes, and many of them are in the same key, and to be able to identify them, opus numbers can be very handy. Now, the way opus numbers works is this. You have, for example, let's say Beethoven had 3 sonatas he wanted to publish. He goes to his publisher, and the last works he published were something in opus 9. So now he presents 3 piano sonatas, opus 10. So they're opus 10 number 1, opus 10 number 2, opus 10 number 3. And there's a body of work. Next time he composes music, it'll be opus 11, which could be a piano piece, it could be a string quartet, it could be a symphony. It depends what is in that opus. It could be one work, it could be a group of works. So there are actually groups of works divided up into opuses as to when they were published. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. Sometimes opuses are out of order. For example, the opus 49 sonatas of Beethoven come to mind. He wrote 2 sonatas that were published pretty late, opus 49, yet they were written much, much earlier, but he didn't publish them until later. So you can't always go by opus numbers in regards to the date that something was written. But they are a way of clarifying what works you are talking about. And that's the whole purpose of opus numbers. Now, why do I bring all this up? Well, it's a little personal story. Years and years ago, I composed a piece, and it was kind of a mammoth work for synthesizers, digital pianos, and a whole host of other technologies. And I called it Opus 1 because I thought it was a cool name. Well, I just did an improvisation just in my living room, just kind of I was just away in Portland, Oregon, visiting my daughter, and I hadn't touched the piano in a few days, and I just came in, hit record, and sat down, and I'm calling it Opus 2 for you. And that is what is about to follow. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the music for you, Opus 2 of Robert Estrin. I hope you enjoyed that and this little brief tutorial on what opus means. And if you have any questions, I'm always here for you, Robert@livingpianos.com, and love to hear from you. Thanks for joining me again for this little presentation. See you next time.